Welcome to Zoe Stories. I tried her high heels, now she treats me like a princess. The day I slipped into Isabella's high heels, I thought it would be a stupid dare. I thought it would be a laugh between us. I did not know it would rewrite the rules of my life. My name is Amir. I wear a suit to work and a hoodie home. I answer emails that smell like burnt coffee and negotiate deals with men whose jokes always land a beat too long. By day I am efficient, careful, invisible. By night I am a secret that smells like perfume and holds its breath. Isabella is the kind of woman who moves through rooms and rearranges the air. She studies art history and collects vintage lipstick. She says things like perfect and darling in voices that make people straighten their spines. She is my girlfriend. She is the person I love and the person who does not know everything about me. We live in a small apartment that fits two lives awkwardly side by side. There is my desk with its laptop and receipts. There is her vanity with its mirror and rows of shoes that glitter like tiny trophies. Between them is a closet that holds both suits and secrets. I started crossdressing for reasons that felt smaller then and bigger now. At first it was curiosity, a private experiment when the apartment was empty and the world was loud. Later it became something I could not easily name, a quiet hunger for a different shape of myself, for an ease I could not find in my masculine skin. It was not performance for strangers. It was a private ritual that soothed and scared me in equal measure. I never told my family. I never told my colleagues. I kept it locked behind a dozen little lies, late nights at the office, missing drinks with friends, odd weekends. Isabella knew only a fraction of my truth. She knew I liked fashion movies and had an eye for detail. She did not know I borrowed her lipstick. That night the apartment hummed the way it does when rain is thinking about coming but not committing. Isabella was gone visiting a friend for the weekend. She left a kiss on my forehead and a text that said, "Don't burn the pasta." Her heels were neatly lined by the door like obedient soldiers. I stood in the doorway between our worlds and felt the pull. I told myself I would only try them on for a minute. My hands shook when I reached for the pair, black patent stilettos that caught the light like wet glass. I remember the strap snagging on my fingers the way memory snags on old wounds. The first step was ridiculous and unstable. My ankles complained. My breath came faster. Then something happened that felt like unclenching. With each inch I gained, the world shifted. The walk became a small revolution. My reflection in the hallway mirror surprised me. There was a softness around my jaw that the scuff marks of the week could not hide. The way I held myself changed, as if the heels had installed a different spine. I laughed, then a short, sharp laugh that tasted like fear and something else I could not name. It occurred to me that if anyone ever saw me like this, the arched foot, the painted toenails, the borrowed voice that trembled when I tried to soften it, everything would collapse, and not in a bad way, only a terrifying raw way. I pulled down Isabella's wig from the shelf because I wanted to feel the name she had on her tongue. The hair fell over my shoulders and there it was, a small, private proof that you can be two people at once and both be real. Makeup made shapes on my face I had never allowed to exist. Foundation smoothed the lines of my tiredness. Mascara drew borders around my eyes, and suddenly my gaze returned to me in a way that was almost intimate. The mouth I used for apologies and for negotiating contracts looked different when outlined with her red pencil. The lipstick smelled like citrus and danger. As I stood there in Isabella's clothes, a dozen tiny alarms began clicking in my chest. The first was practical: Isabella could come home early and find me. The second was bitterer: what would it mean if she did? Would she laugh? Would she crumple me with disappointment? Would she walk away? The secret folded inward like a paper bird. I tried to count the reasons to stop. There were plenty: job, reputation, family. There were also reasons to stay: clarity, happiness, a taste of a life where I did not have to pretend every night to be less than I was. The heels forced me upright. The wig framed a version of me I wanted to know better. I whispered a question to the empty room: what if I stay like this forever? The apartment made small noises. The radiator clanked like someone clearing their throat. Outside, somewhere a taxi sighed. My phone vibrated on the counter. It was a simple message from Isabella, running late, stuck with Anna, will be home tomorrow, love you. A relief so sharp it hurt. She would be gone longer than she said. The relief opened a door I had been locking for years. That is when I heard the knock. One knock, soft, polite, not the kind of knock you expect from a lover with a spare key. The apartment had a thin front door that smelled faintly of old varnish. My heart made a sound that was almost audible. I wiped my hands on Isabella's skirt, and for a moment I considered pretending this was nothing, that I was simply arranging shoes for her return. The knock came again, firmer. My pulse seemed to be tap dancing against my ribs. Through the peephole I saw a neighbor I recognized from the building's laundry room. She was someone who smiled with her eyes and had a key to gossip. She lifted her hand as if to quiet the world. I had to decide in less than a breath what story I would tell. I went to the door with the heels still on. Each step was a sentence. If I opened the door like this, the neighbor would see shoes, maybe hair, maybe the way a man's shoulders softened in borrowed silk. I could change in the hallway, pretend to be a mirror the way the world expected. I could throw on a hoodie and become a man again in 2 seconds. Or I could open the door and let the world see a body I had kept hidden like contraband. When the door cracked open, my voice came out thinner, different and unfamiliar. The neighbor asked about borrowing sugar, about building noise, something ordinary like a streetlight. Her eyes flicked past me and landed on the heels. For a second I felt framed like art. I felt naked despite the dress. Her face registered surprise, then something else, a curious, soft tilt that made a small fissure across my fear. It was not disgust. It was an eyebrow raised with a question. I laughed then too loud. The sound bounced off the walls and came back with echoes. I told her a lie about helping Isabella clean up. She nodded and left with a warning about upstairs noise. The door clicked shut, and for the briefest second the apartment seemed to breathe. I stood alone again in Isabella's dress and the heels and 1,000 small possibilities. The truth sat at the edge of my tongue like a coin I could spend. I could change back and lock the shoes away and pretend this never happened. Or I could explore the way the apartment looked at me now that I had given it a new name. Outside the window the city flickered like a dying film. Inside, a single stiletto left a small print on the rug. It was a mark that would not easily disappear. I knew then that whatever happened next, the rest of my life would be different. The secret was no longer just a nightly ritual. It had become a moment with teeth. And in the next room Isabella's voice hummed on a voicemail I had not yet played. The neighbor's footsteps faded down the hallway, but the echo lived inside my chest long after she closed the elevator door. I leaned against the wood of my apartment, breath trembling, palms sweating against silk that didn't belong to me yet felt right in ways I wasn't prepared to admit out loud. The danger should have scared me back into jeans. Instead, the danger fed something. I walked to the mirror again, the click of the stilettos louder than before, each clack like a stamp assigning a new identity. When I looked at myself, really looked, it was as if the mirror had been waiting all these years to show me someone I kept trying not to meet. My voice, softer now, rehearsed, almost breathy, whispered. Why do I like this so much? There was no answer, but the mirror didn't judge me. It reflected me, and the version of me that had always been hiding behind rent payments, work emails, and pretending to laugh at jokes made by men who would never understand the weight of secrets. The thrill turned into exploration. I adjusted the wig, lifting strands the way Isabella did when she flirted with waiters. I traced the line of the lipstick again. It wasn't perfectly symmetrical, but neither was I. I opened the wardrobe, her wardrobe, and my fingers brushed across fabrics that carried memories, scents, and stories that weren't mine but felt like they could be. There was a dress, emerald green, silky but structured, stitched like confidence. I wasn't supposed to touch it. I took it anyway. The zipper glided like betrayal mixed with permission. Fabric hugged a body that didn't know how to respond, stiff at first, then slowly surrendering. The weight of the dress wasn't heavy, but the meaning was. As I smoothed the fabric down, a notification pinged on my phone. Isabella, thinking about you. Hope you're not bored without me. My heart jammed itself into my throat. I typed back with trembling hands. Me? Bored? Never. Might clean a bit. I hovered before sending, then hit send. The second the message went out, a wild idea crept into my head, a reckless, adrenaline-laced thought. What if I took a picture? Just one. Just to see. Just for me. The phone's camera opened with a reflection too bold to dismiss. I adjusted the angle, shoulders back, chin tilted, copying the posture Isabella owned without trying. I snapped a picture. And another. My pulse spiked, the danger of digital proof felt like balancing on a wire above a canyon, but the validation of seeing myself that way, beautiful, surprising, whole, was a drug without instructions. Then the phone vibrated again. A call. Isabella, calling. My breath fractured. Her name glowed on the screen, and the room shrank into its heartbeat. The heels, the wig, the dress, every part of me was wrong and right at the same time. I reached for the phone but froze, because somehow, my voice now belonged to someone unfamiliar. Would she hear it? Would she know something in the air was different? I answered anyway. Hey beautiful, she said, casual, warm, devastating. My mind raced, talk normal, talk normal, talk normal, but the dress hugged me like it wanted to hear a different voice. Hey, I managed, too high. I coughed and tried again. Hey. What are you up to? The terror in that simple question nearly made me drop the phone. Just cleaning, I said. There was a pause, small but sharp. You sound out of breath, she teased. Don't tell me you're dancing in the living room again. I laughed nervously, and the laugh wasn't Amir's. It was hers, the woman in the mirror. Something like that, I said. She talked about her friend Anna, about dinner plans, about how her ride ran late, normal life details that should have grounded me but instead made me feel like I was listening from behind glass. The worst part? Her voice, soft and playful, made the experience even more surreal, because I wasn't talking to her as Amir. Not fully. My hand brushed the smooth fabric on my waist as she kept talking, and something inside me twisted, guilt tangled with desire, fear with peace. All right, she said finally, I'll call you in an hour. Don't miss me too much. I won't, I will, I stammered. When the call ended, I didn't move. The silence after her voice felt colder, sharper, accusing. The picture I took stared back from the phone screen, confident, dangerous as beautiful. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have liked it. But I did. I saved the picture. Not in the main gallery, no, in a hidden folder, locked behind a password so complicated even I might forget it. I looked at the phone, the only witness to the moment. I looked at the heels, like black lightning frozen mid-strike. I looked at myself, emerald green, curved silhouette, lips painted with secrets. I whispered to the girl in the mirror. You're trouble. And she whispered back without speaking. So are you. I tried to take everything off. That would have been the logical thing to do, unzip the dress, wipe off the lipstick, hide the heels back where they belonged. Return to Amir. Return to normal. But something strange happened the moment my fingers found the zipper. I couldn't pull it. Not because it was stuck, because I froze. The room was quiet, yet it felt like someone else was breathing with me, someone whose breath matched mine like a shadow trying to become real. A reflection not satisfied living only behind glass. I stepped away from the mirror, but the identity stayed attached to my skin. Without thinking, I walked again, heels clacking, brushing air like a knife slicing through expectation. Every movement amplified my awareness, this posture, sway, balance, all foreign, all intoxicating. I reached the living room. The blinds were slightly open, not enough for anyone to see in fully, but enough to let fear whisper. What if someone looked? What if someone wanted to? The danger didn't push me away. It lured me further. I practiced walking, slower at first, then with rhythm, a rhythm that didn't belong to the version of me who worked overtime and kept secrets in silence. This rhythm belonged to someone who demanded to be seen, admired, understood. I took 3 steps. Then 5. Then turned like a cat learning confidence. That's when I tried something unexpected, something that didn't feel planned by thought, only instinct. I said, softly. Isabella. Not calling her. Becoming her. Then I said it again, but differently. Higher. Smoother. With a smile in the voice. Isabella. Only then did I realize, this wasn't just crossdressing. It was performing someone powerful, untouchable, in control. Someone I wished I could be, or wished I could love as myself. The phone buzzed again, not a call this time, but a message. Isabella, by the way, you left the green dress out last night, didn't you? My body locked. The blood in my veins didn't move. The room shrank to the size of that single glowing message. I stared, brain crashing into itself, trying to rewind memories. Did I? No, I was sure I put everything away. Wasn't I? Another message arrived. Isabella, not mad. Just curious. That wink emoji felt more dangerous than any knock on the door could have been. I typed nothing. Deleted drafts. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, I put the phone face down on the table, screen dark, heart darker. I sat, slowly, discovering instantly how differently a dress demanded posture. Knees together, back straight, elbows soft, vulnerability shaped into elegance. And that was the problem, it felt natural. A knock snapped through the apartment like a thunderbolt. 3 short knocks. Not loud, but precise. My entire body jerked. No one knocks at my door on Fridays. A neighbor? Delivery? Wrong apartment? Heels suddenly felt like anchors, beautiful, deadly anchors. My breathing went wild. The sound of the dress fabric moving became thunder in silence. The knock came again, softer this time, like someone sure I was inside. Amir, a voice called. A woman's voice. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like gravity doubled. The voice called again, closer to the door now. Amir, I know you're in there. Panic clawed up my throat. I tiptoed, as quietly as heels allowed, toward the peephole. Every inch felt like a mile. I pressed my eye against the tiny circle. My heart stopped. It was Isabella's best friend, Anna. The same friend who saw everything. The same friend who never kept small secrets, let alone ones this size. She stood with crossed arms and an expression that could slice through doors. She knocked again, but her tone changed, low, suspicious, unforgiving. You left your lights on. I thought you were with Isabella this weekend. I backed away from the door, as if distance could unmask me. My breath trembled so violently I thought Anna might hear it through the wood. Look, she said finally, voice sharper, I'm not leaving until you answer. This wasn't curiosity. This was interrogation. My mind hurricane spun options. Pretend I'm asleep, pretend I'm in the shower, stay absolutely silent, run to the bedroom and hope she gives up. But the heel on my left foot shifted, the tiniest scrape, and the sound echoing in my skull felt deafening. Footsteps outside paused. Then her voice, is quieter now, spoke words that froze me. Amir. I know something's going on. Silence. Complete. Paralyzing. Then. And Isabella asked me to check on you. Everything inside me collapsed. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't coincidence. Isabella sent her. My eyes darted toward the mirror, toward the girl I had become, toward the version of myself that had no rehearsed lies for this moment. I reached for the zipper again, shaking, desperate now. This time it moved. Fabric peeled off identity like skin. The wig came off with a pull that felt like ripping away honesty. The heels unbuckled with fingers fumbling against fear. But right when I reached the last heel, the lock turned. Slow. Heavy. Certain. The door handle moved. The world held its breath, and so did I. The sound of the door unlocking was not loud, it was slow, almost gentle, the kind of slow that doesn't ask for permission because it already believes it owns the moment. My entire body turned to stone. The second heel wasn't even off, half buckled, half dangling off my foot like evidence refusing to cooperate. The dress was off, but not hidden, lying across the couch like it was posing for attention. The wig sat on the coffee table, unmistakable, undeniable. I grabbed the nearest blanket and threw it over everything, which only made it look worse, like a crime scene lazily covered by guilt. The lock clicked. The handle turned. The door opened. Anna stepped in. She didn't walk in like a guest, she walked in like someone who already knew the ending to a story and was simply watching the main character catch up. Her eyes scanned the room, too sharp for comfort, too calm for safety. "Amir," she said softly, but not kindly. Her gaze moved from the blanket on the couch, to the table, to the floor, to me. And when her eyes stopped on the single high heel still on my foot, something changed. Not shock. Not confusion. Silence, the kind that understood too much. My voice tried to form words, excuses maybe, but they never made it past my lips. "I knocked 5 times, she said, closing the door slowly, "You never take this long." She stepped forward. And every step she took made the heel on my foot feel louder, like a confession no words could match. I backed up instinctively, until the mirror was behind me. The strange part? I didn't just see Anna. I saw myself, half as Amir, half as someone else. Someone I was afraid to name. Anna stopped a few feet away, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Isabella called me," she said. The room shrank. "She said you sounded off yesterday. Distracted." A pause. Different. Different. That word hit harder than any accusation. Anna tilted her head slightly, studying me the way people study puzzles, not out of curiosity, but to solve them. "She asked me to stop by," she continued, "just to make sure you were okay." Another glance, pointed, purposeful, and to check something. The blanket on the couch suddenly felt stupidly small, like pretending could erase the truth. My voice finally cracked through the panic. "Check, what?" Anna didn't smile. But her eyes did, in the cruel, knowing way of someone holding information you don't want them to have. She said, Anna replied slowly, "If I found anything unusual, I should call her." Immediately. My heartbeat punched my ribs. The phone on the table lit up, a notification glowing like fate tapping glass. "Isabella, did Anna reach?" Anna looked at the message. Then she looked at me. Suspense didn't fill the room, it squeezed it, suffocating everything inside. "You want to tell me," she finally asked, "what's really going on?" There were a dozen lies I could have chosen. Work stress. Mixed laundry. Wrong bag. Nothing. Anything. But none of them could explain the heel still on my foot, the red tint still staining my lips, the faint perfume clinging to my skin, the mirror behind me showing a version of myself that wasn't ready to disappear. My mouth opened, trembled, closed. Anna's voice softened unexpectedly. "Amir, does Isabella know?" A beat. "About this?" The word "this" did not feel like judgment. It felt like exposure, raw, real, dangerous. It's nothing," I stuttered. Anna's eyes narrowed, not in accusation, in disbelief. "Nothing doesn't leave lipstick in the sink," she said quietly. "Nothing doesn't leave perfume on a hoodie." And then, sharper. And nothing doesn't stare at itself in the mirror like it wants to stay. That last line pierced something deeper than fear. Because she was right. I wasn't just wearing clothes. I was wearing relief. Anna took a slow breath. Then she walked past me, toward the blanket-covered pile, and lifted the edge gently with 2 fingers. The green dress revealed itself, rich fabric catching light like a secret aching to be seen. Anna whispered, barely audible. That's her favorite dress. The room felt colder, smaller, more honest. I didn't move. I couldn't. Anna stood still, her back to me, voice calm but shaking under the surface. Amir, she said, are you doing this because you want to? A pause long enough to break ribs. Or because someone made you? The question sliced through fear and landed on truth. My lips parted. But before I could speak, before any answer could exist, her phone vibrated. She looked at the screen. Her expression changed, sharper, urgent, concerned. It's Isabella. The mirror reflected me. The room reflected panic. Anna looked at me. And then, slowly, her thumb hovered over the green answer button. My hands hovered over the phone, but my fingers refused to type. The screen glowed with a single thought. How long has this been going on, and who else knows? The phone vibrated again. I'm outside, still waiting. My heartbeat slammed against my ribs. I closed every slit in the curtains. Turned off the lights. And stood in the darkest corner of the room, hoping to disappear. But he wasn't leaving. Footsteps outside the door. Slow, deliberate, dragging. As if someone wanted me to feel every second of fear. Then, a shadow appeared under the door. He was crouching slightly. Not looking through the peephole. He was trying to see inside from under the door. My breath caught. The phone buzzed again. Don't hide, pink suited her better anyway. Her? Was he talking about me? Or someone else? Or calling me her intentionally to scare me? My whole body froze. Another message came. I know you can read lips. So let's be clear. Then, a photo. My eyes widened. It was a zoomed-in shot from the balcony. Me. In the pink dress. Mirror behind me. Hair flipped. High heels on. A perfect picture of me in a moment I thought was private. Below the photo, a caption. Careful. Secrets look expensive. Another message. I didn't send this to Isabella. And then. Yet. I shivered. This wasn't a random admirer. This was someone playing a dangerous game. I typed, hands shaking. What do you want? 3 little dots appeared, typing, and I felt the weight of patience. Simple. Tomorrow night. 9 p.m. Pink dress. Window open. I slammed the phone down. The shadow disappeared. The footsteps faded. Silence. Except for my breath. I looked in the mirror. Smudged makeup, disheveled wig, high heels still on. And realized. This isn't just blackmail, this is control. And once control is taken, it's almost impossible to get back. The window game. The clock ticked slower than usual. Every second dragged like a threat wrapped in silk. 9 p.m. My hands shook as I pulled the curtains aside, revealing the dark street outside. Nothing. Quiet. Calm. But I knew better. He was waiting. He always waited. I checked myself in the mirror one last time. Pink dress hugging my curves. Hairstyle just like yesterday. Lipstick slightly smudged from nerves. Heels clicking softly against the floor. I was trembling, but something inside, a thrill, a secret thrill, told me I had to do it. The balcony door felt heavier than it ever had. Every step toward it was a battle, desire versus fear, excitement versus panic. I opened the window slowly. A cool breeze hit my face, soft, teasing, and for a moment I almost forgot why I was terrified. Then I saw him. Across the alley, leaning casually against the brick wall. His eyes fixed on me. Watching. Analyzing. My stomach dropped. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just stood there, silent and unnervingly calm. I whispered to myself. Just close it, just close it. But the thrill kept me frozen. The fear kept me wired. And the heels, oh God, the heels, felt like extensions of my fear and excitement combined. He raised his phone. I froze even harder. Was he taking photos? Recording? Watching me in ways I didn't want to imagine? A message pinged on my phone. Perfect. Don't move. My heart raced so fast I thought it might explode. But in that moment, the mirror behind me caught my reflection, the girl I had become staring right back at me, confident, terrified, alive. I realized something terrifying and exhilarating at once. I wasn't just the person behind the dress anymore. I was the person in the dress. The alley grew darker. He took a step closer. Closer. I almost gasped. And that's when the wind shifted. Carried the sound of another voice. Amir? I froze completely. Another figure appeared behind him in the alley. Tall. Familiar. And it wasn't him. It was Isabella. The wind whipped through the balcony, tugging at my hair, the edges of my pink dress, and the veil of confidence I'd carefully built over the past days. My heart felt like it was trying to jump out of my chest as I stared at Isabella, standing there in the alley, eyes wide with confusion and a hint of something else, suspicion, maybe even disappointment. Behind her, the neighbor leaned against the wall, silent, a faint smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. He wasn't hiding anymore, he wanted me to see that he knew. That he had me exactly where he wanted. I couldn't move. The heels I had practiced so much in now felt like knives embedded in my calves. My hands trembled as I gripped the balcony railing, trying to steady myself. Amir? Isabella's voice was sharp but quiet, cutting through the night air. What are you doing? I wanted to scream, to run, to hide, but my legs refused. My reflection in the sliding glass door reminded me that I wasn't just Amir right now. I was her. Pink dress, heels, lipstick, hair curled perfectly. The thrill and the shame collided inside me in a messy, beautiful storm. I can explain, I whispered, voice catching. But even as I spoke, I knew nothing I could say would sound normal. Isabella's gaze softened slightly, but only slightly. Explain? Explain this? She gestured at the reflection behind me, at the dress, the heels, the makeup. You've been pretending? Dressing up, like her? The neighbor shifted, stepping closer. His presence was magnetic and terrifying at the same time. It's not pretending, he said smoothly. It's expression. Confidence. She looks amazing. I froze. I didn't know whether to feel grateful, angry, or terrified. I wasn't even sure which version of me was speaking anymore. Isabella took a step forward, closing the distance. Amir. I don't know if I should be shocked or impressed. Why didn't you tell me? Her eyes flicked to the neighbor. And you, she said sharply. Why are you here? The neighbor shrugged, casually confident. I just appreciate beauty when I see it. And secrets, well, they make life more interesting. His eyes met mine, and for a moment I thought I might collapse. Interesting? I hissed. You've been watching me? Careful, he said, voice low. Watching is different from judging. Isabella's stare was burning now, her hands on her hips. Amir, she said, softer this time, almost like a whisper meant only for me, why would you do this, and why in front of him? I looked down at my dress, the pink fading under the streetlight, and whispered, almost to myself, I wanted to feel seen. Safe. Something I've never allowed myself to feel. A long pause. The neighbor stepped back into shadow. Isabella didn't move. She was studying me, really studying me, and in that gaze I could feel the weight of judgment and maybe the tiniest spark of understanding. Then she finally spoke, if you're going to explore this, if this is who you are, Amir, you need to be honest. With yourself. With me. And with everyone who matters. My chest felt like it would explode. Relief, fear, guilt, excitement, they all collided in a single heartbeat. But just as I thought the worst was over, the neighbor smiled again, stepping forward slightly. Looks like the night just got more interesting. And at that moment, I realized, the real test wasn't just keeping the secret anymore. The real test was choosing which version of myself I was willing to live as. The alley was silent, except for the soft click of my heels against the balcony floor as I backed toward the sliding glass door. My heart pounded like a drum in a war zone, every beat a warning, every breath a countdown. Isabella didn't move closer, but her eyes never left me. That steady gaze, it felt like it could see every hidden corner of my soul. And the neighbor, he leaned slightly forward, his expression unreadable, like he knew exactly what he wanted from me. I didn't think anyone would ever know, I whispered, voice breaking. I thought it was my secret. Just something I could feel without anyone seeing. Isabella's mouth tightened. You thought hiding it would protect you, she asked softly, almost disappointed. Amir, don't you see? Secrets like this, they only grow bigger when they're hidden. I swallowed hard, trying to steady myself. I didn't mean to. Shoo, Isabella interrupted, raising a hand. Not now. Just breathe. I did, slowly, though each inhale trembled with fear. But then my phone buzzed again, bright in the dim room. I looked down. Another message from the neighbor. Looks like someone wants to play. Let's make it fun. I froze. Every nerve in my body screamed at me. The neighbor wasn't just watching anymore, he wanted engagement. Participation. He wanted me to step into the spotlight willingly. Isabella noticed my hesitation. Who is this? She demanded. I held up the phone, shaking. It's him. He's been watching me. Sending photos. Telling me to wear this pink and open the window. She took a step closer, jaw tight, eyes narrowing. You're not doing this for him, Amir. Are you? I swallowed hard, looking at the reflection behind me in the glass, the girl I had become staring back, confident, poised, daring. My voice faltered. I don't know anymore. It's confusing. It's thrilling. It's scary. But I can't stop. The neighbor laughed softly from the alley. Exactly. Isabella's expression hardened. Then maybe it's time to stop hiding. Or start being honest. Because this pink dress, these heels, the makeup, it's part of you. And if you can't own it, someone else will. The words hit harder than any threat. The truth was out. The secret had already leaked. My identity, my desires, my fears, everything was exposed. I sank to the floor, heels clicking softly against the balcony, makeup smudged, wig slightly askew. My heart raced, but for the first time, a strange clarity emerged. I didn't have to run. I didn't have to hide. But the neighbor stepped closer, voice low, almost a whisper carried on the wind. I hope you're ready for the next step. Because once you cross this line, there's no turning back. And at that moment, with Isabella watching and the neighbor looming outside, I realized, the world I had known, the world of Amir, was gone. I wasn't just a boy in pink anymore. I was standing on the edge of something far bigger, far scarier, and far more exhilarating. The night air was thick, heavy with tension. The balcony felt smaller than ever, my heels precariously clicking on the edge as if warning me that one wrong move could send everything crashing down. Isabella stepped closer, her eyes searching mine like she was trying to read every unspoken thought. "Amir, you need to make a choice," she said softly but firmly. "Are you going to keep hiding, or are you going to own this? All of it. No more pretending." I swallowed, trembling. The reflection in the glass door stared back at me, a stranger who felt more me than I ever had. The pink dress, the wig, the heels, the confidence, they weren't just clothes. They were a revelation. But then, the neighbor's voice cut through the night like a knife. "Don't rush it. Embrace it fully, or regret it forever." My stomach dropped. His shadow stretched across the alley, every movement deliberate, calculated. He had been orchestrating this entire night, every message, every photo, every instruction. And now he wanted me to commit, to step completely into this new identity under his gaze. I looked back at Isabella. Her expression softened slightly, a mix of concern and something else, approval, maybe even curiosity. "Amir, I can handle this. But you have to decide. For yourself. Not for him. Not for anyone else." My legs shook. Heels pressing into the floor, toes gripping. The pink dress clung to my body, making me feel both powerful and exposed. I realized with a jolt, I didn't want to go back. Not entirely. But the thought of the neighbor, watching, controlling, terrified me. Then, without warning, he stepped forward, closer to the building. I could see his face now, illuminated by the streetlight, a calm predator with eyes that bored into mine. "The window's open," he said softly. "The choice is yours." I froze. Fear screamed at me to shut the window, hide, run back inside. But another voice, my own, the one I hadn't listened to in years, whispered, "Step into it. Be who you want to be." Everything collided at once, fear, excitement, shame, desire. The reflection in the glass door smiled at me, daring me. Isabella's gaze softened, silently urging me forward. And the neighbor, waiting, watching, pushing me toward a decision I had never been forced to make before. Finally, my trembling fingers found the balcony door handle. My heart raced so fast I thought it would burst. I took a deep breath, exhaled, and stepped forward. The neighbor's eyes widened slightly, a hint of respect, or was it triumph, flashing across his face. Isabella's hand reached for mine, guiding me gently back toward the balcony wall. And in that moment, the world felt suspended, like everything I had feared and desired had collided in a single, perfect, terrifying instant. I was no longer just Amir. I was something more, something new. Vulnerable, yes. Exposed, yes. But also alive, electric, unstoppable. The neighbor smiled. "Interesting," he whispered. "Very interesting." And just as I steadied myself, ready to embrace this new reality, Isabella leaned closer and whispered, "Whatever happens next, we face it together." The balcony trembled under my heels, the night seemed to hold its breath, and I realized nothing would ever be the same. The night had transformed into something I couldn't have imagined. The alley, the neighbor, the reflection in the glass, and Isabella's presence, it all swirled into a storm of emotion that left my heart pounding and my mind spinning. I stood on the balcony, heels clicking softly, pink dress catching the dim light. My hair was slightly messy, makeup smudged, but I felt powerful. Alive. Exposed, yet undeniably me. Isabella reached for my hand, her fingers warm and grounding. "You're amazing," she whispered. "No more hiding. No more pretending." The neighbor, leaning casually against the wall, tilted his head. "Interesting choice," he said. "But remember, this is only the beginning." I froze. "Beginning?" I asked, voice barely a whisper. "Everything changes from here," he replied. One wrong step, one mistake, and your secret won't be yours anymore. My stomach twisted. Fear. Excitement. Desire. Shame. Thrill. They all collided, leaving me breathless. I looked at Isabella. Her eyes held understanding, but also a question, can I really trust you? Then, without warning, a flash of light illuminated the alley. Another figure appeared, shadowed, unknown, moving closer. I couldn't see clearly. My heart raced uncontrollably. Isabella squeezed my hand. Whatever happens, she whispered, we face it together. I nodded, gripping the railing. The night seemed to stretch, endless, dangerous, electric. The neighbor smiled, a knowing, almost sinister smile. See you tomorrow, he said, vanishing back into the shadows. And in that moment, I realized. This secret, this transformation. It wasn't over. It had only just begun. My reflection in the balcony glass stared back at me, pink dress, heels, wig slightly askew, and I understood one terrifying, exhilarating truth. I was no longer just a mirror. I was someone new. Someone untouchable, yet exposed. And the night wasn't done with me yet. The night pressed against me like a living thing, cold and expectant, wrapping the balcony in shadows that seemed to move on their own. The pink dress clung to me as though it had a mind of its own, every sway of fabric exaggerating the way my body felt exposed and thrilling. My heels clicked softly against the wooden floor, each tap a loud echo in the silence of the night, making me hyper-aware of every movement. Isabella's voice broke the tension. Amir, what is happening? Her words were calm, but her eyes were sharp, searching me like she could see every hidden layer of my soul. I wanted to explain, to justify, to confess everything in one breath, but my throat was dry and my words stuck like stones. I can explain, I whispered, voice catching. I didn't think anyone would ever notice. Her eyebrows arched, but she didn't move closer. Notice? Amir, this isn't just some silly hobby you hide in the closet. Look at you. Look at yourself. Her eyes swept over the dress, the heels, the wig, the makeup. She paused, then added quietly, you've been hiding, pretending? I froze, staring at my own reflection in the glass door behind me. The girl in pink, high heels tapping lightly against the floor, wig slightly curled, lips painted, was looking back at me, confident, alive, daring. And suddenly I realized, with a jolt of both fear and exhilaration, that she wasn't pretending. She was me. The Amir I had been suppressing, denying, hiding, she had finally emerged. Before I could respond, a movement in the alley caught my eye. The neighbor, who had been lurking, observing, manipulating, stepped further into the dim light, his smirk calm and calculating. His presence alone sent chills down my spine. He wasn't hiding anymore. He wanted me to know he was there, and he wanted me to feel every second of the tension he was creating. You look different, he said softly, voice low, almost teasing. Not just in the dress, something about your stance, your confidence, it's intoxicating. I trembled, unsure whether to feel flattered, furious, or terrified. Why are you here? I managed, voice shaking. What do you want from me? He tilted his head, smirk widening. Nothing, for now. Just to watch. To see someone embrace what they've been hiding. That's art. My blood ran cold. Watching? Art? He had been controlling this night without my consent, orchestrating it, pulling strings, pushing me to expose myself, to step into a world I had never dared enter before. And I realized, with a sick thrill, that part of me had wanted this. Part of me had wanted to be seen. Isabella's voice, firm and cutting through the fog of my thoughts, brought me back. He doesn't get to decide who you are. Only you do. Amir, look at me. Her eyes bore into mine, steady, grounding. Her hand reached for mine, warm, pulling me slightly back from the edge of panic. I looked into her eyes and saw understanding, but also tension, caution, and the unspoken question, can I really trust you to step forward as yourself? Can I trust myself? I swallowed hard, heart hammering. I don't know anymore, I admitted. I've been scared. Scared of this part of me. Scared of being seen. But part of me wanted it. Isabella's hand tightened around mine. Then you don't hide. Not from me. Not from anyone who matters. The neighbor laughed softly, a sound that made my stomach twist. Bold words, but we'll see if you can live up to them. Night's not over yet. I looked down at my heels, the delicate balance of my stance, the way the pink dress hugged my curves, and I realized, the reflection in the glass wasn't just a mirror of my appearance, it was a mirror of my inner transformation. The fear, the thrill, the shame, the exhilaration, all of it collided, making me feel more alive than I had ever felt. Suddenly, a soft gust of wind caught my dress, tugging at the fabric, making it swirl around my legs. My wig shifted slightly, curling against my neck. I shivered, not just from cold, but from the intensity of being seen, from the exposure, from the possibility of being judged or rejected. You can't just stay frozen there, Isabella said gently but firmly. You need to decide. Are you going to hide behind fear, or step into this, fully? I glanced back at the neighbor. His eyes were sharp, observing, calculating. I knew he was expecting a reaction. A choice. And somehow, even though fear screamed at me to retreat, part of me wanted to confront it, to step fully into the girl in the mirror, to embrace the thrill and danger completely. A long pause stretched across the balcony. The world seemed to hold its breath. My reflection stared back, the girl in pink, confident yet vulnerable, daring me to move. Then Isabella spoke again, softly, almost a whisper meant only for me, whatever you choose. I'm here. I'll face it with you. The neighbor's smirk remained, waiting, as though time itself had slowed, making the night stretch endlessly. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears, my fingers gripping the balcony railing. And then I realized that the next step would change everything. The line between Amir and her had blurred completely. The fear, the thrill, the secret, the exposure, it was all on the edge of collapse. And I had a choice to make. One step forward, or back. The night waited, silent and suspenseful, for my decision. The alley below was silent, almost unbearably so, and every shadow seemed alive, moving with intent. My heart pounded, each beat a deafening drum in my ears. My hands were clammy, my fingers trembling as they gripped the railing of the balcony. The pink dress clung to me in ways that felt both thrilling and terrifying, reminding me of every secret I had been holding, every part of myself I had hidden even from Isabella. Isabella's gaze was unwavering. Her eyes, soft but piercing, searched mine. Amir, what is happening? Tell me. I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else, someone small, ashamed, terrified, yet inexplicably alive in a way I had never experienced before. I wanted to explain, to pour everything out, to confess every thought and every feeling I had suppressed for years. But fear and excitement tangled together, leaving me speechless. The neighbor stepped further into the dim streetlight below, his presence commanding, almost theatrical. He wasn't hiding anymore, he wanted me to feel his scrutiny, to know that he had orchestrated everything up to this point. His calm smirk sent shivers down my spine. You look different, he said softly. Not just the dress, Amir, the way you carry yourself, the way you're alive in this moment, it's mesmerizing. My stomach dropped. Why are you here? I whispered, barely daring to breathe. Why are you doing this? Watching, he replied with a smirk, is not the same as judging. But understanding, appreciating, that's something else entirely. You've built this world for yourself, and now, you're showing it. That's a rare gift. I swallowed hard, my legs trembling beneath me. The reflection in the sliding glass door behind me caught my attention, the girl in pink staring back. Confident, alive, daring. My heart twisted. She wasn't pretending. She was the part of me I had been denying. And for the first time, I saw it clearly, the thrill, the fear, the vulnerability, all of it was part of who I truly was. Isabella's hand found mine, grounding me in the chaos of the night. He doesn't get to control this. You do. Only you. Amir, look at me. Her words were a lifeline, steady and reassuring, yet demanding. I looked into her eyes and saw something I hadn't expected, a mix of concern, curiosity, and a subtle challenge. Could I really be myself here, in front of her, in front of him? Could I embrace it fully, even with the risk of being exposed, judged, or worse? I don't know anymore, I confessed, voice shaking. I've been scared, of being seen, of being judged, of being me. But part of me wants this. Wants to be seen like this, wants to feel alive. Her thumb brushed against my knuckles. Then stop hiding. Not from me. Not from anyone who matters. Be yourself, Amir. All of yourself. The neighbor laughed softly, a sound that made my stomach twist with anxiety. Bold words, he said, his tone dripping with amusement. But words alone aren't enough. You need action. Action. The word echoed in my mind. The reflection in the glass stared back, challenging me. The dress, the heels, the wig, the makeup, they were no longer mere objects. They were symbols, extensions of me, daring me to step fully into the life I had been craving secretly. A gust of wind swept over the balcony, tugging at my dress and ruffling my hair. My wig shifted slightly, and I shivered, not from the cold, but from the exposure, the vulnerability, and the thrill. It felt as though the world itself was conspiring to make me confront my deepest fears, my most secret desires. Isabella's voice softened. Amir, whatever you do, do it for yourself. Not him. Not me. You. I swallowed, my body shaking in the heels that now felt like extensions of both fear and empowerment. Every nerve in my body screamed to retreat, but my heart told me to move forward, to embrace her, the girl in pink, fully. The neighbor's shadow stretched along the alley, still watching, still waiting. Decisions, Amir, he said softly, almost as if coaxing a confession out of me. Will you step forward, or step back? I looked again at my reflection. The girl staring back was fearless in her own way, trembling yet daring. Vulnerable yet strong. I realized that the night had stripped away every pretense, every lie, every fear. I was no longer hiding. I could no longer hide. The choice loomed before me like a razor-sharp cliff, retreat into safety and secrecy, or leap into the unknown, fully exposed, fully alive. My throat burned, my legs quivered, my chest felt ready to burst. Then Isabella whispered, softly but firmly, whatever happens, I'm here. We face it together. The neighbor's smirk deepened. Interesting. Very interesting. But the real test is about to begin. I felt the weight of the night pressing down, every heartbeat a reminder that nothing would ever be the same. I was no longer just Amir. I was standing at the edge of something enormous, terrifying, and exhilarating. And I knew, there was no turning back. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, the alley below a dark void where shadows moved like living things. My heels clicked softly on the balcony floor, each step making my pulse hammer faster. The wind tugged at my pink dress, the wig slightly slipping at the nape of my neck, and I shivered, not from cold, but from the anticipation, the fear, the thrill of the unknown. Every sense felt magnified, as if the world itself had focused its attention on me. Isabella stood beside me, her hand warm on mine. Her gaze was intense, almost challenging. Amir, you need to make a choice, she said softly but firmly. Are you going to continue hiding, or are you going to own this part of yourself? All of it. No more pretending. I swallowed hard, trembling. The reflection in the glass door stared back at me, the girl in pink, standing tall, yet visibly fragile. She was confident, daring, radiant, and terrifyingly exposed. The lines between Amir and her had blurred completely, leaving me suspended in a storm of emotions: fear, shame, desire, exhilaration. The neighbor stepped forward from the alley, his smirk calm but dangerous. "The window's open," he said, voice low and teasing. "The choice is yours. Step fully into it, or retreat into safety. Once you cross the line, there's no turning back." My stomach twisted. The thrill and danger surged through me, mixing with shame and excitement. I could retreat, shut the door, hide in the safe comfort of my old identity, but part of me, the part one had buried deep for years, screamed to leap forward, to embrace the girl in the mirror fully. "Amir," Isabella whispered again, squeezing my hand, "you don't have to do this for him. You do it for you. Your choice, your power." The words sank into me, reverberating through my chest like a drumbeat. My reflection seemed to pulse in response, daring me, tempting me. Every movement of the dress, every shift of my heels, every curl of the wig made me feel more alive than I ever had. The fear hadn't gone, it was still there, sharp and electric, but it was mingled with a raw, intoxicating excitement. I could hear the neighbor breathing softly, waiting for me to make a decision. His shadow stretched along the alley, silent but commanding. "Decide," he murmured. "Will you hide, or will you step fully into who you are?" I looked at Isabella, her eyes searching mine, waiting for me to make a choice I hadn't yet allowed myself to consider fully. She wasn't judging me, she was challenging me. Testing me. And suddenly, the weight of her trust, her support, felt heavier than the fear pressing down on me from the alley below. My hands gripped the railing tightly. My chest heaved. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run, to retreat to safety. But another voice, my own, whispered urgently, "Step forward. Be who you've always been too scared to show." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. Memories flooded me, the times I had peeked at her shoes and dresses, the hours I had spent imagining myself in makeup, the thrill of slipping into her heels, the shame of hiding, the secret excitement that no one could ever know. And through it all, one truth had crystallized: I wanted this. I wanted to be her, to be me, to merge every part of myself into something unapologetically real. The neighbor's smirk deepened, as if he could sense the shift inside me. "Interesting," he murmured, almost to himself. "Finally, someone willing to embrace it." I opened my eyes and saw Isabella's hand on mine again, steadying me. "Whatever happens next," she said softly, "we face it together. Step forward, Amir, or step back and never know how powerful you can be." The reflection in the glass seemed to breathe with me, her pink dress flowing, her lips painted, her eyes daring me to make the leap. I could feel the fabric cling to my skin, the heels pressing against my calves, the wig's curls brushing my shoulders, all of it a physical manifestation of the courage I needed. And then, with my chest pounding, my legs trembling, I made the decision. I stepped forward. The neighbor's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of surprise, or was it respect, passing over his face. Isabella's grip on my hand tightened, her eyes shining with pride. The thrill, the fear, the vulnerability, they all collided in a single heartbeat. I was no longer just Amir. I was her. I was me. And I was standing at the edge of something terrifying, exhilarating, and absolutely real. The neighbor took a slow step back into the shadows. "Very interesting," he said quietly, fading into the darkness. "We'll see how long this lasts." Isabella leaned closer, brushing a stray curl from my face. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "we face it together. You're not alone." The night held its breath, the alley silent, the shadows still alive, waiting for what would come next. And I realized, my life, my identity, my secret, had all changed forever. I was no longer hiding. I was no longer pretending. I was fully, undeniably, alive. And the night wasn't done with me yet. The alley below was drenched in shadows, stretching and twisting like fingers reaching for me. My heels clicked against the balcony floor, each tap echoing like a countdown to something inevitable. My chest felt tight, every heartbeat reverberating through my body as if the night itself had taken on a physical weight. The pink dress clung to me, soft against my skin yet somehow exposing everything I had tried to hide for years. My wig had shifted slightly, curls brushing against my neck, and I felt exposed, raw, and electrifyingly alive. The neighbor's presence was palpable, even without him moving. I could feel him, measuring me, analyzing every trembling movement, every subtle shift of my posture. And then, almost imperceptibly, he stepped closer, into a sliver of dim light. His shadow stretched long and thin along the alley, but his eyes were locked onto me, sharp, calculating, almost predatory. "You're trembling," he said softly, almost teasingly. "Not from fear, from excitement. The way you're standing there, it's beautiful. Fragile, yet so alive." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. You've crossed a line," I whispered, voice breaking. "Why are you doing this? Why are you watching me?" He smiled, slow and deliberate, the kind of smile that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "Because," he said, voice low and measured, "I see potential. The girl in pink, you're fearless, Amir. But you're also hiding. And I like watching the struggle. The conflict, it's intoxicating." My stomach twisted. The thrill surged through me, mixed with fear and something darker, something I couldn't name. The reflection in the glass behind me stared back, the girl in pink, poised, daring, yet trembling, alive. I realized then that he wasn't merely a threat. He was a mirror, a catalyst forcing me to confront the parts of myself I had denied for so long. Isabella stepped closer, grounding me with her presence. "Back off," she said firmly. Her hand found mine, warm, anchoring me to reality. "You won't control him, Amir. You control yourself. Only you." I glanced at the neighbor, his smirk widening, his posture relaxed but commanding. "We'll see," he said, his tone light but edged with danger. Then he stepped back into the shadows, leaving only the lingering weight of his gaze. The night felt thicker after he withdrew, almost tangible, pressing against my chest. My knees trembled. My mind raced with conflicting thoughts of fear, exhilaration, shame, desire, all tangled into a knot that felt impossible to unravel. I could retreat, hide, become Amir again, safe behind walls of denial. But another part of me, the part that had peeked at Isabella's heels, imagined herself in makeup, dreamed of this transformation, screamed to step forward, to embrace the girl in the mirror fully. Isabella crouched beside me on the balcony floor. "Amir, look at me," she said softly. "You're allowed to feel everything, every fear, every thrill. But don't let him, or anyone, dictate how you live your truth. This is yours. Do you understand?" I nodded, my chest heaving. I think so," I whispered. "I want this, but it's terrifying. I don't know if I can." Her fingers brushed a stray curl from my wig. "You can. You've already taken the hardest step, acknowledging who you are. The rest is just courage, Amir. And I know you have it." I glanced back at my reflection. The girl in pink stared back, poised, trembling, alive. Every nerve in my body was screaming. Every inch of me felt exposed. But there was a clarity beneath the chaos. The only power he had was the power I allowed him to have. And I realized something vital: I didn't have to fear him. I didn't have to fear anyone. Only myself. The wind swept across the balcony, tugging at my dress, ruffling my wig. It felt symbolic, like the universe itself was forcing me to confront the storm of emotions I had been avoiding for so long. I took a deep, shaky breath. My reflection seemed to pulse in response, daring me to step fully into her, to embrace every thrill, every fear, every secret I had kept hidden. "Amir," Isabella whispered, "you're stronger than you think. And this night, this moment, it's yours to claim. Or you can let it slip away. The choice is yours." I closed my eyes, heart hammering. The alley, the neighbor, the balcony, the wind, the night, all of it faded except for her, my reflection. I felt the fear, the thrill, the shame, and the exhilaration, all coalesce into one raw, powerful moment. And then I understood, stepping forward wasn't just a choice. It was a declaration. It was a claim on my identity, on the girl I had longed to be, on the life I had secretly craved. I opened my eyes, feeling the pink fabric hug my body, the heels pressing against my calves, the wig curling at my shoulders. I stepped forward, fully, undeniably, alive. The neighbor's faint voice echoed from the alley, a whisper of approval and menace, interesting, very interesting. But this is only the beginning. Isabella's hand tightened around mine. Whatever happens, we face it together. I realized then, my reflection staring back, the night stretching endlessly before me, that nothing would ever be the same. The world I had known, safe, hidden, unremarkable, was gone. I was fully, irrevocably, alive. And the night, it wasn't finished with me. The night pressed against me like a living, breathing thing. My reflection in the sliding glass door stared back, eyes wide, lips slightly parted, the pink dress flowing softly, heels perfectly aligned yet trembling with every subtle movement. I felt exposed, every nerve raw and alive, as if the night itself had stripped away my defenses and left me vulnerable, but somehow, more powerful than I had ever been. Isabella crouched beside me, her hand warm and steady against mine. "Amir, look at me," she said softly. "You've taken the first step. That's all that matters. But now, you need to face the rest." I swallowed hard, feeling the tremor in my legs, the shiver running through my arms, the flutter of my chest as if my heart wanted to leap out of my body. The neighbor's shadow lingered in the alley below, just beyond the reach of the balcony's light, a constant reminder that the night was not yet finished, that my journey had only just begun. I don't know if I can," I whispered, voice cracking. "Part of me wants to, but part of me is terrified. Terrified of being seen, of being judged, of losing control." Isabella's eyes softened, but they held a quiet intensity. "That's normal. You're confronting parts of yourself that you've hidden for years. And yes, it's terrifying. But it's also exhilarating. You can't hide anymore, Amir. Not now. Not ever." I looked down at the heels pressing against my calves, the way the pink fabric of the dress hugged my curves, the wig brushing gently against my shoulders. Each sensation was a reminder of the girl I had been longing to become, the secret identity I had buried so deeply, now alive and undeniable. My reflection stared back, daring me to embrace it fully, to step completely into who I was meant to be. The neighbor's voice carried softly from below, almost a whisper, yet it cut through the night like a blade. "Decisions, choices, moments that define us. You're at one of them." My stomach twisted. The thrill surged through me, mingled with fear and excitement, shame and desire. Part of me wanted to retreat, to shut the balcony door, to slip back into the safety of my old identity. But the girl in the reflection, the pink dress, the wig, the heels, was alive, radiant, daring me to move forward. Isabella squeezed my hand. "Whatever happens, Amir, we face it together. You're not alone." I swallowed, heart hammering. I could feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins, making every sensation sharper, every breath heavier, every nerve alive. The balcony felt like a stage, the night like an audience, and I was the performer, finally, terrifyingly, gloriously revealed. A sudden gust of wind caught my dress, tugging at the fabric, making it swirl around my legs. My wig shifted slightly, and I shivered, not from the cold, but from the intensity of the moment. The fear, the thrill, the shame, the exhilaration, they all collided in a storm that left me breathless, trembling, alive. "Amir," Isabella whispered, "look at your reflection. Who do you see?" I stared hard at the girl in the glass. Confident yet trembling. Vulnerable yet daring. Afraid yet alive. She was me, the part one had been hiding, denying, longing for. And in that moment, I realized something profound. The only thing standing between me and her was me. I could step back, retreat, hide, return to the life I had known. Or I could step forward, embrace every part of myself, and face the consequences, the judgment, the thrill, the exposure. The choice stretched out before me, sharp, electric, impossible to ignore. And then, the alley shifted. A figure moved, shadowed, approaching with quiet intent. My pulse quickened. Another observer? Another complication? The adrenaline spiked, fear and excitement surging together like a tidal wave. The neighbor's faint smirk echoed in my mind. We'll see how long this lasts. Isabella leaned closer, brushing a curl from my face. Whatever happens, she whispered, we face it together. Step forward or step back. But choose. I closed my eyes, heart hammering, breath catching. The night seemed to hold its breath, waiting for my decision. Every instinct screamed to retreat, every longing urged me to move forward. And finally, I understood, stepping forward wasn't just a choice. It was a declaration. A claim on who I truly was, the girl I had longed to be, the identity I had kept hidden for so long. With trembling legs, I took a step closer to the railing, feeling the fabric of the dress cling to my skin, the heels press against my calves, the wig curl at my shoulders. And then another step. And another. The neighbor's shadow receded slightly, but the sense of observation remained, like a taut string ready to snap. I was no longer just a mirror. I was her. I was alive. And I could feel it, the vulnerability, the fear, the excitement, the exhilaration, melding into something raw, terrifying, and beautiful. The night stretched endlessly, filled with anticipation, the unknown pressing against me. The balcony became a stage for my transformation, the reflection in the glass my witness, Isabella my anchor. And I knew, with absolute clarity, nothing would ever be the same. I was exposed. I was alive. And the night, it was far from over. The night had already transformed me. My heels clicked softly on the balcony, pink dress swaying, wig slightly curling at the shoulders. Every sense felt heightened, my breath, my pulse, the tiniest sounds of movement in the alley below. I had stepped fully into her, into the girl I had been hiding, denying, longing to become. Yet the exhilaration was laced with fear, a delicate tension that made every nerve feel electric. Isabella's hand was firm around mine, grounding me, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this. Amir, whatever happens, we face it together, she whispered. Her eyes glimmered in the balcony light, the mix of curiosity, concern, and unwavering support giving me the courage to keep moving forward. I took a deep breath, savoring the thrill of the night, the surreal exhilaration of being seen as her, fully exposed yet strangely powerful. And then I heard it. A soft, deliberate knock at the sliding glass door behind me. My heart nearly stopped. My reflection froze in horror and exhilaration at the same time. The knock was firm, confident, unmistakable. It wasn't the neighbor. It wasn't Isabella. It was someone else. Someone who could ruin everything in an instant. Who is it? I whispered, voice trembling. Isabella's eyes narrowed. I don't know. Stay calm. Don't panic. But even as she spoke, her hand tightened on mine, warning me that the stakes had just shot higher. I approached the door cautiously, heels clicking against the balcony floor. The knocking came again, louder this time, more insistent. My reflection stared at me from the glass, the girl in pink, frozen in panic and awe, every muscle tense. Every part of me screamed to hide, to retreat, to throw on some clothes and pretend none of this had ever happened. But I couldn't. Not now. I had already crossed the line. I had embraced her. There was no turning back. Isabella whispered, "Don't open it yet. Listen. Think. We need a plan." My mind raced. Who could it be? A neighbor? Someone suspicious? The last thing I needed was another person seeing me like this, discovering the secret I had spent so long protecting. The knocking persisted, now accompanied by a soft voice. "Amir, are you there? I know you're inside." The voice was familiar, sending a jolt of panic through me. It was my best friend, someone I had never intended to see me like this. My breath caught. The heels beneath my feet felt suddenly heavier, the pink fabric of my dress restricting me as if it shared my fear. My heart thudded painfully, echoing in my ears. I glanced at Isabella, whose eyes were wide with alarm but also a strange spark of excitement. "We need to be quick," she urged. "Decide, face it or hide. There's no middle ground." I swallowed hard. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to hide the girl in pink, to vanish. Yet another part of me, fierce and alive, screamed to confront this, to embrace the exposure fully, to show the world who I truly was. I opened the door a crack. The figure outside came into view, my best friend, eyes wide with shock and curiosity, clearly confused but captivated by what he saw. "Amir, is that?" His voice faltered, hanging in the air like a question with no answer. I felt the pink dress cling tighter, the heels biting into my calves, the wig brushing my shoulders. Vulnerable, exposed, alive, I was every part of her and every part of me all at once. Isabella stepped closer, whispering, "You can do this. Own it. Be confident. Face him. You're more powerful than fear." I drew a shaky breath. "Yes," I whispered, barely audible. I can." I opened the door fully. My best friend froze, eyes scanning me, lingering on the heels, the dress, the makeup. Every second stretched into eternity. His mouth opened to speak, then closed, then opened again. The neighbor's faint laugh echoed in my mind, reminding me of the stakes. Interesting, very interesting. My legs trembled, but I held my head high. "It's me," I said softly, voice firming as adrenaline surged. This is who I am tonight. Who I've been too scared to be before. And I'm not hiding anymore." The shock in my friend's eyes didn't fade. He stepped closer, hesitantly, cautiously. "Amir, wow. I didn't know." I could feel the night holding its breath. My heart raced. The balance of heels and dress, the soft rustle of fabric, the wig brushing my neck, every detail made me feel both exposed and empowered. Then, a sudden gust of wind from the balcony caught my dress, lifting it slightly, revealing more than I intended. My friend's eyes widened further, a mixture of surprise, awe, and curiosity. My heart slammed against my ribs. Isabella's hand found mine again, grounding me, whispering, "You've got this. Stay strong." I realized then, fully, that nothing would ever be the same. The secret I had hidden, the girl I had suppressed, the life I had denied myself, all of it was now fully visible. And the choice, the moment, the risk, it had become real. The night seemed to stretch endlessly. My reflection in the glass, the heels on my feet, the wind tugging at my dress, the gaze of my friend outside, all of it pressed down with intensity. The stakes had never been higher. And then, the balcony railing creaked dangerously beneath my weight. A sudden imbalance, the heels slipping slightly, and I staggered, almost toppling forward. Isabella gasped, catching my arm. My heart skipped a beat. The thrill, the fear, the exposure, all collided in a single instant. I was at the edge, both literally and figuratively, balancing between fear and exhilaration. The knocking at the door became a frantic thud. My friend called my name, uncertain, urgent. The night seemed alive, pressing me to the brink. And in that moment, I realized, the next second would change everything. One misstep, one judgment, one revelation, and nothing would ever be the same. The night had swallowed everything. My heels pressed against the balcony floor, pink dress clinging to me, wig slightly curling at my shoulders. The wind tugged, lifting the fabric just enough to make my heart leap. My reflection stared back from the glass, her eyes wide, lips parted, every line of her body a portrait of exhilaration, fear, and vulnerability. And I realized I had crossed a line I could never uncross. Isabella's hand was still warm around mine, grounding me. "Amir," she whispered, voice steady yet urgent, "whatever happens, stay calm. Don't let fear control you. You've faced everything tonight, this is just the final test." I swallowed hard, breath trembling. My friend outside was still frozen in the doorway, eyes scanning me, struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. His lips moved, but no words came. The neighbor's presence still lingered, a shadowy reminder of the risk, the thrill, the danger I had invited by stepping fully into her. Every second stretched endlessly, weighted with tension. I could feel my pulse in my ears, my chest rising and falling in rapid, shallow breaths. The heels on my feet pressed into my calves, every step a delicate balance between confidence and precarious vulnerability. The dress, soft yet unyielding, hugged my curves, making me aware of every movement, every shift of the night air, every possibility of exposure. "Amir," Isabella whispered again, "look at me. Look at yourself. You've embraced it, but now, the moment of truth is here." I turned slowly to face her eyes, and for a heartbeat, everything felt suspended. The thrill of being seen, the fear of judgment, the overwhelming exhilaration of my transformation, all collided into a singular, undeniable truth: I was no longer hiding. I was alive, exposed, fully myself in ways I had only dreamed of. Then, the sound of a sudden movement below made my heart leap. My friend had stepped closer, reaching a hand as if to touch, to confirm, to grasp the reality before him. The neighbor's shadow flickered in the corner of my vision, a subtle, chilling reminder that tonight was far from over. I gripped the balcony railing tighter, feeling the balance of my heels against the slick surface, the dress brushing my legs. One misstep, one slip, and everything would collapse. My reflection in the glass seemed to shiver, mirroring my own tension. Vulnerable, exposed, alive, and unprepared for what was coming. The knocking at the sliding door escalated, urgent, insistent. My friend's voice called out, anxious, almost panicked. Isabella's grip on my hand tightened. "Amir, decide. Face it or retreat. There's no middle ground now." I took a shaky breath. I wanted to retreat, to hide, to disappear into the familiar safety of Amir, but the girl in the reflection, the one I had become tonight, wouldn't allow it. She demanded the truth, demanded courage, demanded exposure. Every part of me screamed to embrace her fully, to claim this identity even in the face of judgment, even in the face of fear. The wind gusted again, ruffling the pink fabric of my dress, making it swirl around my legs, teasing the heel's precarious balance. I staggered slightly, panic surging through me. Isabella's other hand steadied me, eyes wide, full of concern and encouragement. Then, a sudden sound behind me. Another movement. I spun, but the alley below had only shadows, the neighbor nowhere in sight. My friend's voice trembled. "Amir. I don't know what to say." I took another deep, trembling breath. The reflection in the glass stared back at me, fearless, unashamed, daring me to take the final step, the one that would seal this night, this transformation, this exposure. "Amir," Isabella's voice was soft but commanding. "Whatever happens, we face it together. Step forward. Own it. Or step back and never know what could be." I realized then, fully, that this night had changed everything. There was no going back. No retreat. No hiding from the girl in the reflection, no denial of who I truly was. Every nerve, every breath, every heartbeat screamed at me to step forward, yet the fear of exposure, the risk of judgment, the uncertainty of acceptance pressed down like a weight too heavy to lift. My friend outside hesitated, uncertain, frozen in awe and confusion. The neighbor's faint smirk, almost a ghostly memory, reminded me that I was being watched, analyzed, tested. The stakes were higher than ever. I gripped the railing, pink dress swaying, heels pressing against my calves, wig brushing my shoulders. The night held its breath with me, as if aware that the next moment would define everything. And then, the sliding door creaked. The sound was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was enough to make my heart stop. Someone was about to see everything. The secret I had kept buried, the girl I had longed to become, the identity I had embraced tonight, all teetered on the edge of revelation. Isabella's grip on my hand tightened, her eyes locking with mine. Whatever happens, remember, we face it together. My pulse thundered in my ears. My reflection stared back, fearless and vulnerable at once. The wind swirled the dress around my legs. The heels threatened to slip. My friend's voice called my name again, closer now, more urgent. And in that instant, time froze. The door swung open. The balcony, the night, the reflection, the heels, the dress, the fear, the thrill, all collided in a single, breathless moment. I had stepped fully into her, fully into me. And everything hung in suspense. What would happen next? Would I be accepted, ridiculed, exposed, or embraced? The night didn't answer. It waited.